Hello and welcome to the Thanksgiving edition of No Prize Podcast. I am the professor. That is Lucas. And how are you doing, pal?
I am sharpening my knives. I am polishing the spoons and the sporks and everything and the plates, getting ready for Turkey Day. Is there
Oh,
any bigger day than this one?
there isn't, man.
Come on now.
And especially last year when we were all shut up in our houses and not allowed to see family.
Ooh.
This year, we're back to normal, hopefully, and ready to see 25 of my closest family and friends.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully there's enough turkey. I heard turkey was like $100 a pound. So we
Yeah,
shall see.
inflation has been a B. It's
Yeah.
been really busy. All of the eggs, milk, turkey, meat. I've seen videos of people showing, sharing video of crazy prices for, just meat and everything. So, yeah, please be careful out there. Don't put everything in your cart before looking at the prices.
I'd
No.
be happy. I'd be happy with just the sides. I'd be happy with some mashed potatoes, some butternut squash. Some
Oof,
little. Some of those side dishes. We could do
oof.
without. I
Yeah,
could do
man.
without turkey. Cook a
You could do
ham or
without turkey.
roast
Oh,
beef or something.
I
I know.
can't.
I mean, I
I
can't
can't
eat
do
that
it.
much these days anyway. So, you know.
No, I was blessed enough that we reserved honey turkey and this year and some honeyed ham. So I didn't feel like cooking. So we're just gonna keep it low key and just go and let honey ham take care of us on some of the stuff.
All
But
right.
what we're not going to do is we are not going to freaking relinquish our absolute right to tear into some of these books that Marvel put out.
Oh yeah, yeah. We can feast on a few good books this weekend.
Now,
So
yeah. So I what do we want to get into? Or did you no? You wanted to talk about that some of the. Did you want to talk about some of the trailers or what?
yeah, we could talk about because we had that Disney Plus day last week, and they came out with some trailers. Moon Knight. If you'd seen a little bit of Moon Knight, maybe you got a little a little sneak preview of his costume. See what the Oscar Isaac looks like as Moon Knight. That was pretty cool. They did a little She-Hulk where they didn't really show much, right? But they showed. I can't even remember her name. Was it Tatiana, something like that?
Yeah, I'm
Who's
not
playing
sure.
She-Hulk?
Oh, yeah, the lady from Orphan.
Yeah, but I can't remember her name. She's got a nice, unique name, but I like her, and she's got a unique look too. I think she's beautiful. But if you're listening, I think you're beautiful. But
Oh yeah, she could get it. She's a little cute patootie. No, but in the meantime, I think the even bigger freaking orbital thing, and this is what once again we've talked about this regarding Scarlett Johansson, right?
yeah,
Now people are just starting to understand what that news meant. So for those that are not tracking, Scarlett Johansson and her team actually had a lawsuit against Disney, right? They said it was a breach of contract because they had put it out on the Disney Plus streaming platform prior to at the same time as putting in theater, and they're like, well, there's a loss of funds and all the other stuff. Not proven, but in the meantime, uh, now the other Disney Plus came to terms with her, not even close to what she was asking for, right?
yeah,
But they came to terms, and now I guess her team, and I definitely know it's her team because of where I've seen these stories at. They're like, well, in addition to that, no, she's getting producer's credit. Well, you that only matters to you if you don't know the fact that on Black Widow and some of those other movies she's been on, she had actress credit and producer's credit anyways.
hmm.
That's how actors and actresses sometimes pull enough money out of
Yeah,
they get you get that producer's credit. Guess what? Not only do you get paid for the work you did, but you get paid for some of that work in perpetuity for it.
all
But
right,
there was that IATC, producers thing where now they don't want producers double dipping anymore, right? Because like, okay, the producers came in and they made a phone call, now they get producers credit, and that's it. Well, So there's a little
Yeah.
thing about that. So now Disney says, okay, we'll let you double dip on this one, but let's not do this anymore. So the big thing for Disney Plus that was not mentioned. So you've already got your She-Hulk, and you've got this one and that one. You've already got that humans like on the edge, right? They're dead, right? They're
All
dead
right.
as far as we
Yeah.
know in the comic, but no, they're dead. Nobody cares about the humans right now. But we do know that Kamala Khan, she's on her way, right?
Yep.
She's an Inhuman, so that sets us up for A Force. That's what people are speculating that she might be able to direct or produce everything. An A Force freaking project, which be absolutely amazing. In theory, I just don't know if we're ready yet. We need to let some of these other female characters breathe, let them get their footing, and then it would be amazing to see that.
And that's the female Avengers that came out several years ago out of Secret Wars that didn't really go anywhere. Had maybe like an 8 or 9 issue run, but that included Ms. Marvel, She-Hulk, Storm, um, several of the major female characters in Marvel. A couple of other ones that I think maybe they might have even introduced already. So
Yes.
maybe
Yes.
Scarlet Witch too. We could just, that would be a total female power show, which is right up Disney Plus's alley these days. So, well, we'll see.
It would be amazing, especially for the books I've got hidden around this room, so I can get rid of them. Speculation wise, but pandering and all that other stuff. Put that aside. It would be interesting to see how that would work, right?
Yeah.
That's a lot of star power and everything, but no, I'm not ready to see it yet until I see how these other characters would play in a room with each other, or are they ready yet to make their big thing in the MCU enough to pull people, right?
Well, it's going to be a good
I don't know.
story first. If they can tell a good story, and you can keep the diversity if you want. You can keep the, you know, all this everywhere they're going, as long as the story's good and we can buy into it. I don't have a problem with anything they do. So they've been doing good so far. I've liked just about everything they've put out. We have Hawkeye dropping this week, so
Yes.
before you eat your turkey, watch Hawkeye. I believe the first 2 episodes are dropping on I think the day before Thanksgiving.
Oof.
So I think that show is going to show you more of the roadmap towards where everybody's headed, because we've already had Loki. We haven't seen anything. Well, we've seen What If, but I mean, I'm talking live action. We haven't really seen anything since Loki broke the multiverse open. I think we might see some cool live action stuff. And obviously, the multiverse opens up the door for if Scarlett Johansson wants to return, right? Because we can just have an alternate reality version of Black Widow.
Yes, sir.
But we also see Florence Pugh is on the cast list for Hawkeye, so she will be back as White Widow. And if you remember the stinger at the end of Black Widow, where she is recruited to go after Hawkeye, so we kind of knew she was going to show up, right? So
Sure.
um, I'm kind of really looking forward to that, and we're introducing Kate Bishop, so that's another young Avenger accounted for. So that's another way they're heading, and she would fit into the A Force that you're talking about really well. So
The only one you're going to be missing, and so here's the deal. This character was not part of the original A Force, but would make a great addition to it, and
yeah.
that would be Shuri.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
But because of some of the flack behind this particular the actress, in between her thoughts on vaccines, right?
Mm-hmm.
And her all of a sudden breaking her arm and having concussions and all this other stuff. I don't think they're gonna want to go that way. They're gonna go some other way, and they're gonna be proud to keep her out because
Do you think that they might just recast her?
I hope they do.
Just
I hope they do. I hope it's a shot across the bow, right? look, you work for the Disney Corporation. Absolutely, are you? You are the face at times for the organization. You
Right.
cannot be sending crazy ass messages to everybody.
Yeah.
You
Well,
can't do that.
I was thinking about that earlier this week because I was like, man, because imagine if like Chadwick Boseman was still here, and let's say he was an anti-vaxxer. You can't recast Chadwick Boseman. But now that you're in a situation where Shuri needs to step up and be the face of Black Panther 2, or the main character, you know, at this point, I think you can get away with recasting her if you have to, because she's not A-list, right?
No,
It's kind
never
of
has
like
been. She
replacing Terrence Howard with Don Cheadle between Iron Man and Iron Man 2. Everybody was like, okay, I buy it. Same character, different actor,
right.
right?
It's one of those sad situations of an actor, or yeah, an actor and actress talking themselves out of the A-list category.
Right.
Do you remember
Yeah.
how high everybody was after Black Panther?
Of course. Yes.
Everybody
Yes.
was amazed, right? Because Black Panther is would have been an easy one to mess up.
I've never seen a movie that afterward I felt I didn't. I mean, I felt that it was an empowering movie, right? That it was a
Right.
movie that people saw and instantly felt that they were more, right? That they
Yes.
belonged, like that there was something that was there that belonged to them, that was theirs. Uh, I think, and I've never ever seen a movie that made me feel more like that, um, ever. So that's the special power of that movie, and that's why it shows up in everybody's number one list when it comes to talking about Marvel movies, MCU movies, because that movie did something that no other movie I've ever seen did for people. So, and I know how
Yeah.
strongly you feel about it too. So,
I feel like, well, here's where I went. Like in my mind, there's no other black character out there right now whose history has solidly represented the black community, out there.
right,
I have been sorely disappointed in the way the comics have gone. In fact, did Black Panther? Yeah, Legend of the Black Panther came out this week. So
yeah,
you know what? I'm going to address that later, right?
okay,
So the comics over the last 2 to 3 years have sorely disappointed me. It's shown flashes, but they're not there yet. So for the movie to come out and do that and say, "Hey, we've got a direction. It's not just a direction; it was a vibe, which
mm,
is very difficult to capture. A vibe, right? And to take the African American community to go from, because remember, the African American community was the last holdouts when it comes to the whole comics are cool now. They were the last
right,
holdouts, and
yeah,
then the Black Panther movie took them from that to, okay, yeah, really, we get it now. Black
hmm,
comics can be cool,
yep,
but now you've spent that equity that you had with Letitia's comments. You spent that on nothing,
yeah,
on something that wasn't even worth it. She didn't. This was not a civil rights thing. This is like a common sense thing, and she spent all that equity. You know, I don't know what she thought. I don't know what if she thought that she was just irreplaceable.
mm,
Because sometimes we get that at our job, man. We're doing a little bit of good, and then
oh
we
yeah,
think we're replaceable, and then the boss tells you something. You're like, man, boss, you better go somewhere. That's you got a freaking younger, better looking freaking
yeah.
guy that shows up.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, it's one of those things where I think she saw the pie in the sky and she realized that she was the next big thing, right? Because now instead of being a supporting character, she was going to be the main character, and that she was going to have obviously anybody that was going to fill in for Chadwick Boseman was going to have huge shoes to fill, but they were going in a different direction, and Shuri had already been introduced, so it wasn't like they were trying to introduce a new Black Panther, but um, we already had one, and all the people that were fans of Black Panther knew that Shuri eventually takes on the mantle, right?
Right.
So that was something that everybody was okay with and prepared for. And I think she saw that and she knew that. And maybe maybe she got a little too big for her britches there for at the end there, instead of seeing herself as an employee of the largest company in the world. And the largest company in the world, sorry, they like everybody to be vaccinated. And hey, you're an employee at the end of the day, right?
like I don't know what she's thinking. Like, well, she she's fully unaware of the Black Panther story and the Wakandan story. There's so many stories without Shuri in there. You know, look, we've got Killmonger books out there,
Yeah.
and the Killmonger books are actually really good.
Mm-hmm.
So for her to take that, take this avenue, I don't know. Now they're coming up with all types of crazy stories. Oh, I know she broke her ribs. Oh, she's got a concussion. Like that accident happened months ago. How are we still having these issues right now?
Well,
No.
I don't know. I don't know.
So in the meantime, also on Disney Day, they mentioned that Echo was coming.
Yep, and they're introducing her in the Hawkeye show as well. So we have Echo and White Widow. So the cast list is kind of crystallizing there.
That Prey is a new Predator prequel movie coming, and now it'll be coming to Hulu. And the X-Men '90s animated series, and apparently that was announced before, but they reiterated to talk about it again.
So that's X-Men '97 that's coming out.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And that's all that I'm tracking.
We have
No,
Spider-Man freshman year as well. So the animation
okay,
studio is really kind of bumping it up, right?
yes, sir. So there's all types of goody stuff. We're Disney right now. They're in the business of, hey, we can't lose subscribers. We got to keep our subscribers because those have been major talking points at their latest. I forget what they're freaking called, but at their investors relations, uh, calls. They've been talking about subscribers. And at one point, somebody tried to say the subscribers were getting lost. No, they haven't been losing subscribers. They've been gaining them, but they haven't been gaining them at the rate that they should be,
Mm.
which is not a big thing because you got to remember, a lot of people are still out of freaking work, and they're looking at what they can cut, and they're like, you know what, I don't need Disney Plus, especially with Thanksgiving
Well,
and Christmas coming along.
Well, you gotta see. I mean, they've had a down cycle the last couple of months, right? I mean, we haven't
Sure.
gotten anything new since What If. We've been kind of spoiled this year with having back to back to back series and something
Yes.
to watch every week, and we haven't
Yes.
had anything to watch the last couple of months. So now we're getting Hawkeye, and right after Hawkeye, we're getting Book of Boba Fett, uh, and then after we don't have I don't think we have a set schedule starting 2022 of what we're getting from Disney Plus. But I mean, with the amount of stuff, we know Ms. Marvel's done. We're just waiting for a release date for that.
Mm.
And we know they're shooting Moon Knight, She-Hulk. We have Eternals will probably be on Disney Plus by Christmas.
Yep.
So
Shang-Chi just popped on
yep,
there like
Shang-Chi
last
just
week.
dropped. Yep. So I mean, they don't have a lack of content, and this is just MCU stuff. I mean, they have a ton of other stuff coming out on the Disney platform, right? So
Right.
there is a ton of stuff to watch. It's just if those of you that are looking for new episodes of stuff. Sometimes you have to wait a little bit, but yeah, I can see why the subscription rate would go down, especially over the last couple of months.
Yeah.
So,
All
all
right.
right,
So
let's
let's. Yeah.
let's jump into our first comic, and then we'll take a break.
Okay.
We're gonna talk King the Conqueror #4, a surprisingly good series about a villain. So
Yeah, it's been an amazing series, right? Because we know where everybody's going on common ground right now as to the importance of King right now. The Loki series did a really good job of doing that, right? They've shown that, hey, this is a guy that he's on the cross point or the crossroads of time, right? He's outside of time, and if he really wanted to, if he really wanted to change time, he really could, right? And there's been all types of wars fought and everything, blah blah blah, right? So now they're going to take us back, fill in some of those what happened then, because if you've read some of the actual comics, is like, hey, this happened, but then all of a sudden this happened, right?
Right.
So this is filling in those, why did this all of a sudden happen? And I love it. I love it to death.
Hmm.
The one of the most interesting things is it's definitely focusing on the Ravonna Renslayer character, right? And how
Right.
much an important she was to everything that's going on. So for those that don't know who or what was going on, the African American character, I think her name was Rebecca in the Loki series.
No, it was Ravonna.
Ravonna, her name was
Yeah.
Ravonna. Okay,
Yep.
that was Ravonna Renslayer in that series. Now the interesting thing is that throughout the history of Marvel and everything, that's not the only one she's been. She's also Valerie Richards, who is the daughter of Reed and Sue Richards, right?
Wait,
She's
who's the daughter? Who's Valeria? Not Ravonna.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. She is eventually bioengineered to be Ravonna Renslayer.
Oh, well, okay. So that puts a whole level of creep into this book
Yes,
then.
it does. It does
Because I
because
think
they are relatives.
this is the first. I think this is the first series that cements the fact that King the Conqueror is actually Nathaniel Richards. I know that it was hinted before, but I don't think it was ever confirmed. But I think that this is the first series that you actually realize that Nathaniel Richards, who is Reed's father or grandfather, I'm not sure.
I well, well, I guess we'll get into that as
Right.
part of the as part of the series of how that actually works. Um, but yeah, so there is a part in time in which Doom pushes the bioengineering along and bioengineers bioengineers Valerie to be the wife or lover of King at some point, right?
Right.
It's never really hammered in and explained, but that is a thing. What also is out there is the fact that at some point Ravonna is also um, able to manipulate the way she looks and everything, and she was Nebula at some point as well.
Hmm.
Um,
I'm gonna have to go back and reread this because I think there was some things that are going
well,
over
no,
my head here.
the whole thing about Valerie and Nebula, that's not in this series. That's not in the series, but that's
Oh.
in those are in other books, right? That
Oh. Okay. All right.
but what is in this series is the fact that um, during the time of Apocalypse and Ramatut, which is when King the Conqueror was like really in this thing, Ravonna was, I don't know if she was the first Moon Knight, but she was Moon Knight, right? And that's huge because chronologically, when it comes to the books being published and everything, her book, her first appearance was Avengers number 23. That came out first, meaning that she was the first Moon Knight.
Yeah.
It's freaking crazy to think of, like, yeah, we got the freaking character, but she was the first Moon Knight, which makes her book even more important when it comes down to all that other stuff. I'm loving all this stuff, and they're putting her, once again, they're putting her on the cross point and crossroads of everything.
Yeah. Well,
So
she was an important character even back in the '60s when she first appeared because she humanized Kang a little bit. Because the first and second appearance of Kang really, straight up vanilla villain kind of coming across time, and the first appearance of him with Ravonna was during the first run of Captain America's Cap's Kooky Quartet with Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, and Hawkeye.
yeah,
And that was maybe 6 issues into that iteration of the team. But Kang was kind of humanized in that story as being a man in love with his who he wanted to be his wife, and was willing to go to war to get her. So almost kind of like a Helen of Troy kind of situation. And then at the end, and they actually recap that in this issue here, where
Yes.
the villain, Kang realizes that he would rather have love than victory, and then Ravonna dies as a result of that.
Yes,
And
that is a powerful, because the build up to this, I think ever since issue number one, has been the older king, right? Being a mentor to the younger king, say, hey, whatever you do, don't fall in love. Don't fall in love. Falling in love is a weakness. Falling in love is what will bring you down. Right?
hmm,
Falling in love is what will be your ultimate failure. He's trying to hammer it, and he's like, make say it. And then the guy was like, the kid, the kids in that similar fucking kid fashion. You know how they do. Yeah,
right.
okay, dad. Yeah, okay, right. So now, as Kang's getting older and he's coming into his own and he's doing his own thing. He just, it comes to the point. Here it is. This is freaking game day. This is freaking the time to do it. And it turns out that it wasn't just a thing of Kang being stronger, right? It was a point of by by not saying by not going for the love and making love a priority, that is what kills his lover. Right?
hmm
That's the reason why, because he didn't listen to himself. He didn't listen to the older king. That because remember, it was a thing of, oh, hey, there's this guy that I need to kill. By all things, I should kill this guy, right, and be done with it. But because I'm trying to impress this young lady and not be seen as a killer, she ends up dying as a result. That is, man,
Yeah.
that is ultimate. That is really great writing right there, because it's been set up for like the last four issues. I don't know where you can go from here. I don't, there's other stuff that needs to be fleshed out in the King story, but that's the full circle right there.
I really think, I think the Kang as the, like, I guess the leading protagonist in his own book. I think that story really has legs, because I mean he's got 4 or 5 different identities where you could really kind of jump around, kind of like Moon Knight has different uh,
Mhm.
identities. You have Kang, you have Rama Tut, you have Immortus, you
Yep.
have Scarlet Centurion. There are many different facets to his personality and to his timeline where you could really drop him in and tell a really good story anywhere. More than any other character, because you could actually treat him more like like maybe like a Phantom Stranger or something, or have him like he could become like the Watcher, and you could just tell like these what if stories all day with Kang as you can show him as the hero or the villain, however you feel like you want to portray him. But I think where as he learns and as he grows, he changes his identity. Where I would say Rama Tut was probably the brash youth. Kang is the adult, wanna the conqueror, and then when he eventually becomes Immortus, and that's when he becomes like the character that's like above all that, right? When he becomes,
Sure.
he could be a villain, he could be a good guy. If you want to look at it like that, but his motivations are different in each iteration, and I enjoy that part of the character. I think he's one of the most interesting characters that Stan Lee, and Jack Kirby ever created.
The I gotta say also that the art, um, absolutely fantastic art by Lansing. Absolutely freaking great art, freaking very detailed, right? Because
Mm,
they had to get it right, freaking showing us, the details of the time that he's in. Um, just and some of these covers, like the cover that I have up there, that's a Del Mundo cover, I believe.
yeah,
Just fantastic freaking details, man. And then imagine you got to go through, because there's different versions of Ravonna Renslayer that's out there. At one time she's like a wild woman of the bush, and the next one she's, you know, uh, an Egyptian, and the next one she's like a Caucasian blue-eyed woman. And to get those straight, but to have that same stoicism. that freaking
Yeah.
looks into your soul. You know,
Hmm.
that is some grade A freaking stuff, man.
Yeah. Well, let's shout out the creators. We have Jackson Lanzing and Colin Kelly, who wrote this book. Carlos Magno is actually the artist. And then the color artist is Espen Grundstjern, I think. And VC's Joe Carmagna on letters. So, yeah, this book, if you like Kang, this book's for you. If you like Marvel history, this book is also for you because it goes through a lot of the old storylines that Kang had. I'm interested to see if they ever bring out the Council of Crosstime Kangs, if you remember that, with all the different iterations of Kang across all realities, which I believe Kang actually killed all of them, so he's the only one left.
Well, there's a
But
series called Timeless that's coming out, so they might go into that over there.
oh, okay, yeah. Let's say that this. So everybody, listen to me. Kang the Conqueror does have legs, and they're going to do a big storyline, Timeless, and that's early next year, right?
uh, is it early next year or in December? I think it might actually be in December.
Well, December is Devil's Reign that's coming out. So
Hmm.
that's the big event, the crossover that's coming out next month. I think Timeless comes out in February or January or February. We could find out for
Yeah,
sure.
it's been on FOC for like forever. Let's see, because the big thing that speculators are looking for is it's going to be the first appearance of Miss Minutes,
Oh, okay.
December 29th, 2021.
All right. So January, basically. Oh. All right. Let's take a really quick break, and we will be right back to get into everything else that is coming out this week. Let's watch Flipside Folk.
Let me ask you a question. Are you wanting to read a new comic book that has nothing to do with the big two? Are you tired of looking through countless titles and have no idea where to begin? Well, don't you worry, because the random dude Josh and Johnny the Machine Hughes has the podcast for you, Flipside Focus, only on the Undercover Capes Podcast Network.
All right. Make sure to check out Flipside Focus on Undercover Capes Podcast Network and any of our other podcasts of which there are many. So, all right. So let's jump into Dark Ages. I know that you've been really loving this series. I tend to find these what if storylines kind of tiresome, but this one is actually really kind of enjoyable. Why don't you give us a rundown on what's going on in Dark Ages?
The superheroes don't have they're trying to do the same things they used to do, but some of them don't have the powers, and there's no electricity. Boom, that's all you need to know. But all right, but in the meantime, there's different freaking bad guys running around, and there's a kind of like a civil war going on. Apocalypse on one end, and then Black Panther, he's on the other side. Trying to keep everybody together, and slowly but surely, some of these superheroes have been disappearing, right? Either disappearing or just dying. Well, turns out some of the ones that they thought were dead actually are just showing up in Apocalypse camp, working on something. Not exactly sure exactly what it is right now, but we know it can be good if Apocalypse is working on it, right? And then the latest big thing was Tony Stark, Tony's Captain America rode up asking for Tony Stark for help. Tony Stark went with him, and now Tony Stark has disappeared. Uh, in this particular issue, Black Panther decided to send a scout, Quicksilver as a scout. He goes out and he sees all this stuff. He sees his father, like, oh crap, dad freaking locked up, helmed up. Um, and then Apocalypse decides freaking takes control of Quicksilver using the Purple Man somehow, which I have really seen, or maybe I just missed it. And then he sends Quicksilver back to the Black Panther camp, who kills some people. Um, and now they've got the information that, hey, they've got a whole bunch of people now. it's a big trap, right? We all know what's happening, right? Apocalypse has just set up a big freaking trap because they know now they have reason to actually go over into their lands and everything. But once again, the big question is, okay, the trap is set. What does he need all these superheroes for?
Hmm.
What is the big thing? I don't know what, but it's intriguing, right? Because this is great narrative technique, right? Freaking give me a driver of why I want to freaking pick up this book next week.
Yeah.
Give me a wow. Oh crap. He's got this person, he's got this person, got this person. What's next? That's next for next week. So absolutely freaking great stuff right now by Tom Taylor as the writer.
Hmm.
What did you think of it, man?
Yeah. So, like I said, I mean, a lot of these what if storylines, I find a bit tiresome because it lets you take all these characters that, and just kind of put them in these scenarios and that you just aren't believable. But I like the whole idea of, there's no electricity. So now all of these characters have to kind of find another different way to be super, right? Or fight amongst each other for power, right? So, what is power in a land where there's no power, right? So it's super interesting, and let's shout out Tom Taylor writing. Iban Coelho is the artist. Colors are Brian Rubir, and the letter is VC's Joe Sabino. This book, I think, is just still kind of gathering steam a little bit. Because all of these characters, some of them you think are going to be the main characters, and then all of a sudden they're not in the next issue, or they're killed off. We have Quicksilver killing off the Human Torch in this issue, which is the big dramatic moment where Quicksilver is taken over or possessed by the Purple Man. And the one thing that confused me was it looks like so the Invisible Woman puts the shield over her faction of the Black Panther crowd to protect everyone. And Quicksilver was halfway in, and there's a panel there that looks like his legs were burned off. But then in the very next page, you see that he was just very badly burned. And to me, I don't know if that's just maybe an illusion of the artwork, but his legs definitely look like they had crumbled to ashes. And then he looks just like he's got some burn wrappings on in the next panel. So that was a bit confusing. Other than that, this book is intriguing. There's a lot of different characters in this book. So if you're not really familiar with the major characters of the Marvel Universe, there's a lot of new people that you might not have seen before. But we do have Shuri, we do have Black Panther, we have Jessica Jones, we have a lot of the Netflix and MCU characters, Spider-Man, and they're all doing weird stuff. I think we got like Mary Jane is in there somewhere. So it is interesting. I love the whole kind of think tank there of Apocalypse and Purple Man and Dr. Octopus. I'm like, okay, that's kind of like a villain team up right there. But the fact that Reed Richards is working with them is intriguing, because then you're just like, okay, I don't really know if this is if Reed Richards is working with them as a means to an end, or because maybe Reed is without power, maybe he's trying to science it himself up,
Yeah.
And they're using using Magneto as a power source. Genius. So I can see where this is going, but it's fun to read. And the only thing I can't really get across is that these are not the characters that I'm so used to reading about, right? I don't look at I don't think Phoenix in this is Phoenix. I don't think Quicksilver is actually Quicksilver. It's like just a different Quicksilver. So it's tough for me to buy in, but the story's really good. So, I mean, I'd like to read the story for that. And just kind of pretend that they're all different characters. But they introduced at the end of this issue Venom, but I don't know if this Venom is a Venom Carnage mix-up, it looks like. So we'll see. I just think Is it just me that I just don't think that Venom is that popular to be like he's kind of like this generation's almost like Deadpool, or he's in everything.
Yeah, they just are they running out on the license term or something like that, because they're trying to put him in everything. Right? But
I mean, you can tell a better story without Venom than with Venom, to be perfectly honest with you.
I don't know who's asking for more Venom. I'm not asking for more Venom. I'm all Venomed out after that whole Null freaking series that led up to a whole bunch of nothing.
It led to Null.
Null is dead. That's the thing, though. Like, okay, yeah, let's not get started on that, because I don't feel like any more rants today. But
you did all those PowerPoints for nothing.
I mean, look, they've been sprinkling in like, hey, we're going to do something with this character and that character and the other character, and that's fine. But in the meantime, the ending was just so crappy. It's like, yeah. But hopefully, we got Al Ewing. He's going to do. Is he doing Venom?
The first issue just came out.
And then Donny Cates, he's getting ready to do Hulk. So maybe they'll fix it and make it right. But right now they're on my crap list.
Well, Al Ewing is definitely not on your crap list, and he is. If we were gonna, and maybe we'll do an award show for our last show of 2021, where we can do best writer, best story, and all that stuff.
I think that's a good idea.
Because I can already tell you the best writer is going to be Al Ewing, because of the ideas he's bringing to the table, and the kind of not the weird way of which he's doing it, but the kind of characters he's using to kind of really continue his kind of corner of the world, right? We all know Al Ewing just wrapped up his spectacular run on Immortal Hulk. And actually spun off. We've got a few issues of the new Defenders book where he's kind of getting into his ideas here. But here he's expanding on his ideas that he had during Empire and elsewhere. And this is what I like about the Sword book, is that he's incorporating the X-Men more into the cosmic Marvel universe more than with Jonathan Hickman's kind of take on the X-Men. He's really kind of sectorized them or kind of ostracized them. They're not really interacting with anybody else in the Marvel universe.
Right. Yeah.
This Sword book is definitely a horse of a different color, where they're doing different things. They're engaging more, where they have taken over Mars, which is I thought was a weird idea at first, but now I'm just like, this is really something that could, with repercussions, right?
Yeah.
And what they're doing here is they're really kind of getting into I think he's moving the pieces on the chessboard, where they've introduced these characters or reintroduced in some cases, and you've really kind of pivoted where they're actually pitting the X-Men against pretty much the rest of Earth, right? When you're talking about Brand and Gyrick, just being those characters that they say they're working with the X-Men, but we kind of know they're not, right? And then you have Whiz Kid, that's the double agent turned triple agent turned, where does his loyalties lie? There's a good question. And these are characters of the Whiz Kid. This guy, Al Ewing, can literally do anything with. The dude's a blank slate. He was his first appearance was in the Fallen Angels limited series, like 1987, and I think he was in X Factor for just a blip. But this guy is like, no one knows anything really about him. He's a blank character. You can just do whatever you want with him, and I'm just like, okay, this guy is actually like a decent character. I didn't think he was a throwaway, but Al Ewing has turned him into someone that's really, this book is kind of hinging on, right?
Yep, great freaking. They did him right with some great monologues displaying what's going on in his head.
Yeah, and then you have the adult Cable now that Kid Cable is back where he's supposed to be. So you have the actual Cable, and he actually this Cable kind of comes off as a big dummy in this issue, which is not the way that I'm used to seeing Cable portrayed. Never really used to seeing him as trusting even of his allies, and he's actually really duped big time by WizKid in this. And to be fair, in the early issues of Sword, where Kid Cable was running around, they did establish that relationship, and then broke it. And now here's adult Cable, and they're reforming that relationship. Or you're supposed to remember from earlier that they were friends, and now it's kind of come back. Storm has taken the next level in this book, right? Storm as a character, you've always known she was a strong leader, and she's the goddess, you know. But in this book, man, is she something else, right?
Yes, sir. You know, she's I would say for the last year, they have really done Storm right.
Yeah.
Right. She's not just, this auxiliary character. She's not just some I forget what they call it, the god character that just pops down when they need help. No, she's got a lot of stuff going on. Right?
Yeah.
And then when she's present, stuff is really freaking shaking to its core. She's really freaking doing stuff. I really like what they've done for her so far. I wish I could do that for her in the MCU, but that is what it is. So, you know,
Well,
but look, Jonathan Hickman. They need to put him in charge of the MCU right now.
is he even still working for Marvel after he's stepping down from X-Men? I know Inferno is ending, and that's going to be Jonathan Hickman's last story for the X universe. But where does he go from here? I know that they brought him on back to Marvel specifically to take over the X-Men. And now what?
Right. If they are ever going to bring the X-Men into the MCU, they can't do it without Jonathan Hickman. And if I was John, I would say don't do anything with these characters unless you're going to put me in charge of everything. Because look at all these small books off to the side, right? We know how strong his template was, right?
Yeah.
He put the rules, he put the laws of how it's all supposed to work. But then sometimes with some of these other little books, it's just crappy because it's so difficult to follow along the vision, right? So unless you're going to put him in charge of everything, Lucas, yes, everything, right? Of how all these pieces interconnect, they might as well not do anything, right? No, you're like, yeah, I understand. Marvel's got all these other little projects. They've got Secret Wars that kind of brewing, the Scrolls freaking brewing, the Armored War thing going. They're trying to slowly bring in the actual humans that we actually care about with Kamala Khan and Moon Girl and all that stuff, right? But look, I don't see a plan.
Yeah.
Right? After Infinity Gauntlet, after this Infinity thing, right? I don't see a plan. They are trying to do, they've got Adam Warlock coming, right? Who's part of the Infinity Watch, but that's just more Gauntlet stuff. Do we really care about that?
I don't, if we never see another Infinity Stone in the MCU, it couldn't be too soon. But I mean, we know that they used him as kind of a MacGuffin in Loki, where they were just a draw full of Infinity Stones. But that, I think that was the final joke, right? Yes. Because that was that. I think that bit was how we were all feeling about the Infinity Stones, right? I was just like, oh my God, there's so many of them, and it just turned into a joke, and I thought that was actually kind of funny. But I just have a question for you. So if we're kind of talking about the X-Men and the MCU, when they get introduced, do they get introduced as Jonathan Hickman's version of the X-Men, where they're all living on an island?
Perfect freaking question. That is, you got to.
Right?
You got to. The way things are right now, you got to. Right?
Yeah.
Because right now there's only one kind of mutant that's out there that has been fully integrated into the MCU, and that's Wanda.
For sure, and even then, when they first introduced her, she wasn't a mutant, right? She got her powers from the Loki's staff, right?
Right.
Her and Quicksilver both.
Right.
So
But now you're fleshing her stuff out with the Darkhold stuff.
yep. So you can find we can find out more about that, and I know that coming up in the new Doctor Strange movie that they eventually have to reveal her as a mutant, right? Because she's too important to the X-Men mythos for her to just not be one.
Yes.
So
they've got to tread lightly. They've got to get it right. But it's one of those deals where I feel like they could be in the right direction, but I'm afraid that they might jack it up. Right.
yeah,
And it's not necessarily because of anything that Marvel's doing. Like I'm seeing all these actors and actresses, and they're just doing crazy stuff behind the scenes. So
yeah,
that might force them to pivot to something else that wouldn't necessarily be normal with them. But to kind of close out what I thought about Sword was, look, the plan is always what drives you, and the plan here on Sword looks like it's like going to be like a James Bond thriller, right? Because, well, yeah, he's an agent of Krakoa, right? But now he's a double agent for Orcus, but then it also mentions that he's a third
yeah.
agent. So we got to find out now, like, who is he a third agent for? That is amazing. Now, because I already thought this was a pretty good book, pretty good series so far. But now now I gotta tune back in a month from now.
Right.
Figure
So
out
I mean, so who is the third faction, right? So you get the mutants, you get Earthlings, and then the only other third faction I can think of is like the Shi'ar, like Lilandra and Hulkling. What do you call him? The King Doric or something, whatever. I don't know what.
Yeah, who knows?
But that's to me, very intrigued over which way this book is going, and I think Ewing right now pumping on all cylinders. I don't think he can do anything wrong, and I'm picking up any Ewing book that I see. So
Absolutely.
because you're gonna miss a part, you're gonna miss a piece of his universe building, or the Ewing verse is what I'm calling it. So it's interesting.
Man, I can't wait for Hulk. Well, I want to see what Donny Cates is going to do with Hulk #1. And I can't wait to see more of what Ewing wants to do with Venom. It's going to be.
Do you think so? Here is what I think. Hulk becomes almost like they're bringing him back to Earth, right? Because Immortal Hulk was just so out of left field, and you almost have to ignore that whole run to kind of get him back integrated with the Marvel universe. I think if Donny Cates can like pay homage to Ewing's Immortal Hulk run while also breaking new ground, I will be very, very impressed. Because I think Immortal Hulk, I think Ewing changed that character to the core. And going forward, I don't know how you integrate that back in, but it's totally going to be interesting to see.
Man, once again, I can't wait. I hate speculating on it because every time I speculate on what Al Ewing and Donny Cates are going to do, I'm wrong. I swear to God, I think they freaking listen to us, and then they hear what, and then all right, guys, we got to change this just to mess with these guys, right? But what sometimes what they put on the plate is good. It's just that, and I think I've said this before. They are absolutely great at fucking presenting these quandaries, right? These questions. But when it comes to closing and answering questions, not so much.
I call it sticking the landing.
Yes.
You can be the greatest gymnast in the world, but if you can't stick the landing, you're getting a 5.
All flips, no land.
Yeah, exactly.
Just out there killing that bar, killing that horseshoe.
Watching that YouTube video of the gymnast that does all these amazing flips and then breaks her freaking like grasshoppers at the end, with their knees going out. It's like, that was so good, but you can't stick the landing.
Yes, sir. All right, let's.
Let's jump into what we got going because we're running out of time.
All right. Okay. Amazing Spider-Man 85. These are the ones that are coming on FOC this Monday, Tuesday. Just want to
Are
make
you
sure
liking this Amazing Spider-Man Beyond storyline?
it's got me to the point where I don't care.
Yeah, me too. I don't.
I really don't care.
Ben Riley is not the character you'd bring back. I'm sorry. You know.
What was it? This one that I just read? Yeah, no, it was Amazing Spider-Man number 80, whatever the one that came out this week, and it had
Yeah, I think it was like 87.
yeah, Amazing Spider-Man 78 Point Bay, and it had Misty Knight
Oh, right.
and Daughters of the Dragon.
Yeah.
I didn't mind it, but what I didn't need, I could care less about Ben Riley being in the freaking book. If you
Hmm.
want to give me a Misty Knight and freaking Dragon Daughters of the Dragon, freaking just give me that. They didn't need to give me another Spider-Man book on this one. Defenders number 5. The interesting part is going to be is about this is
Ooh.
going to be when they reveal who is the Mass Raider, right? They've been teasing this ever since Marvel Comics number 1000.
Yeah.
So we're now finally going to see. It's probably going to be a character that we've known before, but this is going to be interesting to see. A lot of people are freaking kind of rocking just to see what's going on with that one.
Do I want it to be the Two Gun Kid? I really do.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing.
Or be some old Western character. I think it would be just great.
Yeah. Strange Academy number 15. Nothing too big about this one. The Gaslamp character has been around before, but I have been getting a lot of feedback that people do like these Alberto Ramos freaking covers.
Strange Academy is one of those books that is sneaky good. If you get into it, it's kind of like a cross between Young Avengers and Runaways.
Yes.
Where I kind of feel like it's heavy on the drama, kind of light on the action sometimes, but the characters make the book. And if you can get into the characters, it's really an interesting read.
It's pandering to a specific demographic done right? Because
Yeah.
you've not only got the teen drama thing going, but you've got some teen romance popping up and down, and it's
Yeah.
actually done right in a way that makes sense.
There you go. There you go.
Ben Riley Spider-Man number 1. Just quite a few covers. My favorite right there is actually the one in the far right. I know I got to
Mm.
minimize. It's a Jurgens design variant, which is a 1-10. But the big one is the Jurgens sketch design, which is a 1-50, black and white. I don't know why they decided to do that. I don't know if Ben Riley has enough of a fan base to make people want to buy these incentives.
Well,
But this is what they decided to do.
here's the thing. This is why Ben Riley doesn't fit in the Marvel universe right now, is because we have Miles.
True.
You can't, and Miles does not walk around as Miles Morales Spider-Man. He walks around as Spider-Man. So now you're gonna have Spider-Man, Miles Morales. You're gonna have Peter, and you're gonna have Ben. I just think it's too much. Yes, it's Ben Riley is the character no one demanded to come back. And that's
Miles Morales has his own clones to deal with. Why didn't they just go into that story or just bring that whole thing along?
yeah. I really kind of wanted that storyline a few years ago where Jackal was Peter Parker's clone, and he resurrected a whole bunch of side characters that Peter that had died in the book. I thought that was going to be the last clone story, but I guess we're just never going to get away from clones with Spidey. So I feel bad because I really kind of this book could be good. I just think there's too many Spider-Mans running around.
Exactly. And
So
they all come out in the same week. So,
awful.
X Lives of Wolverine number 1. I love this cover. That's the one to the right. That is a Jorge Molina variant, which is going to be a 1-50. Now, there's a whole bunch of them.
Oh wow.
Feedback from a lot of people was they liked the one of Wolverine in the snow. That is the Art Adams 1-100. There's also that contingent of people that are like manga, which is that one to the far right, the one right next to the snow joint. That
Yeah.
one's A1-25. But overall feedback was that everybody really kind of liked most of these covers.
Yeah, they all look pretty decent. I think it's really easy to draw a good like a good Wolverine cover because you can put him in any background, because he's so diverse. You could do anything you want with him and make it believable.
It's hard to mess him up, but some people do, believe it or not. Venom number 4. I don't have the 1-25 yet. The art has not been out for that one yet. I got a lot of negative feedback regarding the Yarden Classic Homage variant. That's the one in the middle. People are like, why do we have another homage to Spider-Man number 300? Why? What's this all about? Once again, and there was nothing in particular in the solicit that said this was going to be a particular interesting book, but here we are with Venom.
Why do you have that homage variant in issue 4? It's not like, you could have had that in an issue 1 and people would say less about it, right? But
yeah,
it's just an odd, like just a random drop. So whatever.
Yeah. Quickly, new releases that are coming out for 11/24/2021. Black Panther is coming out. People are keeping an eye on that Net East, but the thing that people are definitely going to look for at which is an incentive, is that Sam Spratt. That's the one to the far right. That's one of the Throne engulfed in flames. People absolutely love this freaking cover. I just don't know how many copies are going to be out there.
That is a good cover.
There are some fans of Simone Bianchi, which is the one in the freaking middle. But look, people are loving that one, that Sam Spratt one. Hawkeye, Kate Bishop number 1. A lot of older guys are saying some not kosher stuff. Please keep your comments to yourself about Kate. She's only 17. Don't forget, guys. But I will say I do like the cover. The purple kind of freaking cracks. It's really freaking good. But this might be her best cover yet.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, and we'll see how it freaking does. And I think a lot of retailers are actually gonna buy that one. The Hulk number 1, that one's freaking coming out as well. It's got a bunch of covers. The one that I love right now is the one to the far right. That is a Simone Bianchi freaking cover.
Yeah, that looks good.
I think there's an Art Adams. That's the one down, or second one at the bottom. Left. Yeah, and then the Steve Young. Not Steve Young. Excuse me.
Scotty Young.
No. Is that it's either a Young or a Momoko? I think that's actually a Momoko. Yeah, I think that's actually a Peach Momoko. That one where he's grabbing the star.
Yeah.
So, Death of Doc Strange number 3. People were blowing up and loving that Jacinto variant. That's the one to the far right. It's a 1-25. They said it was trippy. They love it. The color is freaking popped and freaking.
Kind of looks like Magnola.
Right.
Like Mike Magnola.
Yeah. So people are loving this one. So if you see that one just hanging out on the table, freaking go ahead and grab that one. And then that, sir, is all I've got for
nice.
MPP.
All right. And that's all I think we have time for, because we're up against it. We're a little bit over. But join us next time. We'll be into the final month of the year, December. We have Death's Reign coming out. We'll be knee deep in Hawkeye. We will probably be just a week away from the Spider-Man movie coming out. So we'll have lots to talk about. So thank you all for joining us, and we will see you in a fortnight. Be safe. Peace.